If you've ever gassed out in the third set of a tennis match, legs are burning, lungs on fire, unable to move like you did in that first set when you were fresh,
How do these guys do it?
this video is for you. My name is Mike, and I help average people turn themselves into athletic weapons and really improve their sports performance. I'm going to show you exactly how to build your tennis endurance in the off season without trashing your body or adding unnecessary hours to your already busy schedule. This is a full 12-week program that honestly just takes 3 hours per week. I know 12 weeks, it sounds like a big commitment. And if you're worried that you don't know if this is actually going to pay off or not, just stick around to the end because I'm going to show you the biggest mistake that I've seen people make in phase 3 that completely wastes the previous 8 weeks of work. So step by step, I'm going to show you exactly what to do to drive the biggest benefit possible. I coach a lot of busy professionals who love playing tennis as an outlet, as a recreational sport, and then also taking it very seriously and trying to improve their rank. One of the most common things that I've seen in the off season is that, I get it. Tennis is probably not your sole priority to where you're not a professional athlete. It's not the main thing that you're focusing on year round. So in the off season, you forget about tennis. And then it's like playing catch up in the spring where you're trying to cram in as much as possible and you're not really making progress year over year. Before we move on, I just want to give you a simple breakdown of why this plan works. Tennis matches, think about how long they last. I would guess 2 to 3 hours. Very, very explosive efforts with short recovery in between. And so you're going to be utilizing two different energy systems, your aerobic system and your anaerobic system. So the aerobic system, when you train that, it increases your ability to recover faster in between points. So it's sustainable energy. That's why pros can go 4 or 5 hours deep into a match. So that's where the interval training comes in. It's explosive movements. You're able to get to the ball faster. You're able to recover faster in between shots. And then we have anaerobic power. So that's going to be your sprints, your cuts, the interval type work that we're going to do. That's going to improve that. And so it's very explosive movement. Your sprints to the ball are going to be better. And then recovery, getting into the proper position is going to be better. Most people will say, oh yeah, I'll just play more tennis and I'll get my cardio in through there. Well, are you trying to build endurance or are you trying to work on your skill? Think about within the match. If you're tired, all of that skill work you've done, if you haven't layered that on with endurance training, it becomes irrelevant because your body's just going to default to the most convenient option instead of actually maintaining a high quality of play. So if your skill level stalls out, you can actually be a better tennis player by strictly just improving your endurance. The longer you can delay fatigue, the faster you're going to be able to react to your opponent. The truth is that you need a system that is going to build your aerobic base without interfering into your strength training or beating up your joints. That's what this 12-week plan does. So in phase 2, I'm going to show you how to do these intervals in just 10 minutes. That's it, 10 minutes at the end of your strength sessions. And so there's no extra gym trips required, no extra sessions required. It's going to be very time efficient. All right, so phase number 1 here, the base phase, first 4 weeks of the program. This is strictly just about building the habit. This is only going to be focused around zone 2 cardio because it is low impact, it is low intensity, very sustainable. 2 things that I want you to consider here when you're choosing what type of cardio to do. 1, do something that's enjoyable, and then 2, do something that's accessible because you don't want it to feel like a burden. You don't want to have to go out of your way just to do it. And making it enjoyable, honestly, increases your likelihood of sticking with it long term. And so we have 3 tiers here based off of how much availability you have for time constraints. So the first tier is very, very low time availability. So if you're going into the gym already to train strength 3 times a week, all I want you to do, just replace your warm up with 20 minutes of cardio. That's it. And the reason for that is because 1, you get 20 minutes of cardio in times 3 sessions equals 60 minutes per week. So that's great. And that's already something that you're starting to layer in, build the habit. But it also doubles as your warm up because you're increasing your core temperature. You're getting a nice sweat going. And that blood flow alone, it gets you ready to rock and roll for your strength. So you don't actually need to do any extra warm up here. You're not taking any extra time. You're just baking it or layering that in with your strength training. So that's tier number one. And then tier number two, I think this is probably the sweet spot for most busy professionals because you're getting 2+ hours a week in that zone two range. And so you're going to do the same thing as tier number one, where you're doing 20 minutes as your warm up before your strength work. So that's 60 minutes right there. And then you're just going to add on a separate 45 to 60-minute zone two session. Tier number three here, this is for people who are serious about really maximizing their performance next season. So this one, 2 45-minute sessions during the week, because I know during your weeks you have limited time because of work, because of your family. But on the weekends, that's when you have just a little bit more time. And so on the weekend, I want you to do a 90-minute session. So if we just think about it, how long does a tennis match last? I would say probably 2 to 3 hours. So you're building the engine now so you can handle that duration when the season hits. Now, if you're curious about how do you find your zone two, I do have a separate video on that I'll just link below. But if you're already familiar with that, you should know kind of when you start dipping into that zone three. Now, I get it. Most people think zone two is boring. They think it doesn't do anything because it's super easy. But in phase two, this is where things get exciting, because this is where you actually start to feel like a tennis player again. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it without adding a single extra session to your week.
Novak Djokovic finally gets what he wanted.
I like to call phase two the build phase. So it's another 4-week long phase. The whole goal of this is adding aerobic intervals now. So the interval alone makes things a lot more exciting, but we're going to get a little bit more sport specific and really start building your match fitness. I know in the off season, probably around this point, you're going to start hitting more, doing some skill work, and that's great. And so we're going to bake the conditioning into your routine to where you're not having to add any extra hours into the day. So this phase two is quite literally only going to take 2 hours per week. We got 3 sessions here. One session is going to be that same 90-minute long session. If you already have been doing that, if you've only been doing the 45 minutes, it's time to bump up that duration, because like we talked about, you're trying to build a specific capacity for the actual duration of the match. And then the other 2 sessions, they're going to be short and they're going to be sweet. So they are VO2 max intervals because it is a very potent stimulus here. So for these VO2 max intervals, like, I know you are busy. I know you don't have a whole lot of time to think about anything else or do any extra sessions. So we're baking this into your routine that is already there. If you go to the gym, we're going to do these sessions at the end of your strength session. I promise you, it takes 13 minutes total. That's it, 13 minutes. And so what you're going to do is 2 rounds here, and they're going to be 5 minutes each. It is 40 seconds hard, 20 seconds easy. Now, if you don't have time during your strength session, or you're not going to the gym as much and you're playing more tennis, this is an opportunity to actually bake the conditioning work into your tennis session already. So I would imagine you're hitting balls or doing skill work. It's not necessarily matches at this point. And so what you're going to do is those same intervals, the 40-20s, but you're going to do lengths up and down the court. Okay, 40 seconds, as many lengths as you can. And that involves very tennis specific movement patterns, because you're getting multiple cuts every single time you change directions. Now, I do want to make sure here that you are not just kind of mindlessly turning your body going through a cut. Whenever you make a cut, make it deliberate, because that's also going to train your mind once you get into your matches. Oh, this is what it feels like to cut efficiently under fatigue. So these 2 VO2 max sessions, they are short, but they are intense, and they really build your ability to recover quickly between points. And that's exactly what tennis demands. The 2 most important things for phase 2, 1, we are maximizing aerobic benefits with those 2 VO2 max sessions and the long duration zone 2 one. And then also tissue tolerance. This is very, very important. That way, when you start playing tennis more, your tissues, like your tendons, your joints, they're not going from 0 to 100 real quick. They're building up the capacity. Phase 3, this is where champions are made. I promise you.
Finally gets what he wanted.
The whole goal of phase 3 is to quite literally build capacity under fatigue. And that's important, because if you don't train that, your body is going to go into the laziest form of movement when you're fatigued. So in training this, when that 3rd set comes, When you're deep into a match, you're still going to move efficiently. So you're getting match ready in this phase. I'm going to show you one specific drill here that translates most directly to your on court movement. I promise you, this is what the majority of my competitive players swear by in getting them ready. So in this phase, we got 3 sessions, but quite literally only 1.5 hours. So the first session is only going to be 60 minutes long. It's going to be our longer aerobic endurance session instead of going 90 minutes. But what we're going to do here is work at a much higher range of that zone 2. So I like to call this the fat max zone. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a complete deep dive video into zone 2 cardio and how to find this upper zone 2 range. So if you're interested, just click the link below. For the second workout here of this phase, 15 minutes total. That's it. And what we're going to do is essentially just build off of what we were doing in phase 2. In phase 2, we were going 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Now we're going to go 1 minute on, 30 seconds off. If you're doing these on the court, I know I mentioned going the length of the court in phase 2. Now you're going the width of the court. And there is a reason for that. It's because it increases the frequency at which you're cutting. So it does expose you to more cuts, and that builds tolerance over time. You just need to make sure that those cuts are deliberate and they are efficient. You're not just kind of mindlessly going through it under fatigue. Okay, the workout number 3 here. This is the one that I was telling you about, the one drill that all of my tennis athletes swear by. And this is the agility intervals. And this is why this gets you absolutely match ready. 15 minutes total, 3 sets, 8 reps. Each rep, 15 seconds max effort, 30 seconds rest. I want you to pick your weak point. If your weak point is strictly lateral movement, do all 3 sets with a lateral shuffle. If you don't really have a specific weak point and you want to get all 3 better, just do 1 set of each. So 1 set of lateral, 1 set of acceleration, deceleration. I like to call it ACDC. And then 1 set of crossover run. And so this is all about just building explosive capacity here. So with these agility intervals, I just want to show you a couple videos, and I'm going to break down the right way to do them and then the wrong way to do them. If you remember earlier in the video, I mentioned the biggest mistake I see my athletes make during this phase is that they see max effort agility and they just go crazy. Like their feet are everywhere. They have terrible form in and out of cuts. Like they're just trying to go as fast as possible. They're not actually training the quality under the fatigue. You just spent 8 weeks building this engine. Like, don't throw it away. Don't blow it by teaching your body to move like garbage. So this is the lateral shuffle right here. Video on the left, I have terrible form. My feet are all over the place. I'm not loading the hip at all when I change directions. I'm just trying to get through that change of direction as fast as possible. The video on the right, I am putting max force laterally into the ground. I'm able to maintain that ready position so I can change directions at any point in time. And in the cut, I'm able to load the hip, change levels, and properly get in and out of that cut very efficiently with power. So I'm going to play this video for you here. You'll see how tall I am in the video on the left and how low I am in the video on the right. So if we just look at these 2 positions right here, the position on the left, my feet are together. I'm straight up and down. I'm not going to be able to change directions really at all or react to the ball. Now, if you see this position on the right here, essentially what we're doing is creating that triangle with our feet. So whenever you're in the ready position, your feet should be wider than your hips because what that allows you to do is move in any direction at a split second. If your feet are too close together where they're directly under your hips, you're not going to be able to produce lateral force in any meaningful way. Okay, so the next one here, this is the crossover run. So this is the one that all of my clients swear by because it allows you to move diagonally. And then also think about if you go into the net or if you're accelerating to the net and then you have to redirect into a ready position, you need that crossover step because it is going to help flip the hips and get you to be able to change directions much more efficiently. So the lateral shuffle is great if you're within a small space, but this crossover run, it allows you to cover way more distance in a shorter amount of time. And so the video on the left here, poor form. This is where when fatigue sets in, form breaks down. Video on the right, max effort, same concept as the lateral shuffle. I'm loading that spring. I'm loading the hip in and out of cuts. As you can see on the left, I'm just kind of turning my entire body as one. I'm gonna play it one more time here. Look at the video on the right here. I'm crossing over, flipping the hips, loading into that cut. Very, very powerful and efficient out of that. That is how every single rep of your agility intervals should look. So I hope those videos helped in giving you a little contrast in how not to do the intervals and what most people do when they get fatigued. They default into lazy movement patterns. And then also how to approach those intervals with max intent, max quality. And hey, I'm fully aware, like if you compare me to Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic, I probably look like a snail, but I'm okay with that because I'm a regular person. I never compare myself to their movement patterns. I just compare myself to what I was doing 12 weeks ago. And the same thing goes for you. And so after phase 3, you've built capacity under fatigue. So you're able to move more explosively, even when you're tired. You incorporated sport specific movement patterns. And so those are going to have a direct translation to on the court. And you've built excitement for this upcoming season. And so you should feel ready to compete. By the end of week 12, you should feel like a completely different athlete. If you're serious about showing up for your first match of the season in the best shape of your life, where you're not gassed out, you're not injured, and you got that supreme confidence in your fitness level, follow this plan. And if you're looking for more tennis specific training content like this, subscribe because I break down exactly how to train like an athlete without wasting your time. I appreciate y'all sticking with me. We'll chat soon. Hopefully I see you on the court. Take care.